So we can start as we see fit. We are coming back with, I guess this would be our real episode 3. The fake episode 3 is hidden deep in the bowels of my computer. We've had a long hiatus due to family growth, holidays, and this, whatever you want to call it, pandemic, end of the world, zombie virus, whatever it is, it's been affecting everybody. I know a lot of us have had difficulties this entire time. But welcome back. Hopefully you're returning listening. If you're not, and you're a new listener, double welcome to you. This is the podcast for our page, and basically we just like to do a roundtable discussion about what's going on in the nerd community. Not too much going on due to the COVID quarantine. Everything kind of got put on hold and shut down. I know a lot of anime that was being dubbed is not being dubbed currently because of quarantines and all that.
Most of our shows from both sides, the MCU stuff and the DC stuff, have also shut down due to production concerns.
Yeah, I think Flash ended its season early without airing a couple episodes. They didn't film them.
Flash, Batwoman, and then a couple of other things too. Like the last season of Supernatural's been delayed for a long time now because they weren't filming, so they're like, let's just show what we got and wait for the rest.
Okay.
And I think Batwoman was one. They said they kind of saw the writing on the wall, and they ended it on an inadvertent cliffhanger, but that worked real well for it.
I've been watching, but I got behind on everything except for Flash after Crisis, which, oh my god, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It was amazing.
It was perfect.
We're kind of going right into topics without introducing everybody.
Oh, yeah. I was a horrible host. We have new people with us. Well, I mean, old admins, but new people to the podcast itself. Brad, do you want to take it from here?
Sure. Of course, you know Mike, whose face was designed for radio. He's hosting. He's been... Sorry, had to. That was Mike. Yeah, I'm Brad. We're the ones who starred this. We've got Nadine.
Hello, people.
And then Rose is joining us again.
Hey.
Nadine, this is your first time, right?
This is my first time. I am a podcast virgin.
And this is Rose's first time that's hopefully going to actually be published.
Yes. And who knows, I might go back and do some editing to make the other one listen-worthy. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
We can always save that for down the road and do our director's cut.
Oh, God, those words.
3.5 years
later. Well, that's our panel for today. Yeah. That's our panel for this evening. But we're gonna go around the table and kind of catch up on what's been going on the past couple months due to this quarantine. I know I was deemed essential, which doesn't feel any greater than anything else. So I've been working this whole time, and only now, 2 months in, I might be looking at losing my job.
And see, I was deemed unessential, closed out, laid off, got the unemployment and everything, but then all of a sudden, while it's still going on, it's like, oh, no, we're an essential service, so you can come back to work.
Jesus.
I'd rather be not important.
Yeah. So like while everybody else is trying to, do something meaningful with their downtime, I haven't had any downtime to do anything with.
Rose, you've been working this whole time, haven't you?
Yep, I've been actually working. I've been working more ever since this happened.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. I think 1 week I actually worked 6 days, and I was like, well, I'm gonna hit overtime. And they're like, well, I don't care. And I'm like, well, I kind of care. I want to go home. I want to sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't blame you.
I mean, it was great. It was great for a paycheck, but not great for my personal mental health and well-being.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I appreciate and I'm thankful that I have jobs. But at the same time, it's like, oh my God, there is no more toilet paper. No, I do not know when any is coming in. No.
We're not hiding it.
We're using sandpaper at work, so.
Yeah, I'm like, there's a tree outside. Just don't get the one that has 3 leaves on it.
I, on the other hand, was looking for a job when all of this happened.
Oh, geez.
But, of course, this happened, and we're dealing with my father-in-law's chemo, and I'm high risk. So then I was like, okay, the jobs that are available would put me in danger. I'm going to sit out for a little bit.
Blame you.
Worst time ever to start looking.
I know. I was like, okay, we're good. Husband's working. He's getting a promotion, and then they furlough everyone at Disney.
Oh.
And we're like, now what? So we've been finding ways to entertain ourselves and selling some music equipment and just trying to stay busy.
Which is one thing I wanted to give you a chance to do, because this is also what they're actually doing is kind of along with one of my side hobbies. But why don't you, if you want to, explain to everybody what y'all are trying to do, and if there's a link, I'll put it up with the podcast when I put it on YouTube.
Okay, we're still working on it, but my husband plays guitar and he plays bass guitar, and a couple of years ago he bought a Kemper Profiler, so it's a piece of equipment that takes copies of amplifiers, speaker cabinets, and microphone positioning. So all of that stuff that normally you would have as your big rig on stage is just one piece of equipment. And you can have downloads, which is software copies of our interpretation of what Guns N' Roses, Slash's rig would sound like, or Eddie Van Halen's rig would sound like. And we do that so you don't have to carry all of that equipment around, or when you're going to set up and play, you don't have to figure out if the microphone's in the right position or the dials have been bumped into. And it ranges between, we're going to have a free sample of the PV amplifier for guitars, and we're going to have, oh my gosh, and I forgot what the name of the other one was, bass amplifier, that's a free sample with a code that says AMP1 and AMP2, which will be on the website. And then we have 10 other amplifiers that we're working on. So we're trying to make sure that it sounds just right. So the website's on there. We're just working on the content at the moment. But it's Milo's Music Paradise. Yes, we named the company after the dog, and he is our boss. So he lets us, he gives us our bonuses and everything, and cuddles and stinky farts. But basically, we're just selling a software download where you can play whatever you want. Like I said, benefits are you don't have to lug around equipment. If you're in an area that you practice and gig where you live, you're not interrupting your neighbors or waking up the kids, and the wife isn't yelling at you because she's tired of hearing the same chord over and over again. And that doesn't happen in this house at all. That's my
I'm
bed.
kind of familiar with certain things like that, and they are great to have. My brother just got something similar uh, not too long ago, and I'm looking at it because I'm just used to a cabinet and a pedal. So
Oh,
I'm looking at it like, oh my God, this is space age. I have
yep.
no idea what's going on here. There's only one cord in. What the hell?
You don't have the daisy chain of all the pedals on a board.
No, I only use one. Only one.
But
All
yeah,
right, so we had that, and let's see. Uh, I think our COVID little nugget that we found. Me and my girl started watching Vikings on Hulu, and I got hooked after like the first two episodes, and we're in season 6 now, and it has completely gone off the rails. But I'm still watching it. Like, what the hell is going on? What are they going to do? Brad, didn't you do your comic collection?
Yeah, that's still been a work in progress, and I've been catching up on, older shows that's been on my list forever. Like, I finally started and watched Good Omens and The
Finally,
Boys. I'm sorry.
finally, finally on both of those.
Well, and I also watched a couple of things on Netflix, like The Haunting of Hill House. That one was a good one. And October Faction.
Oh, October Faction. Awesome.
I'm disappointed that's not coming back for season 2, but at least we're getting Umbrella Academy season 2.
Woo! I'm
Oh,
happy
I'm
for
so
that one.
excited. So excited.
I love that show. I was not expecting a lot, and even though it was obvious where he pulled his muses from, it was so different in the execution. I'm like, this is just fantastic. And when they hit season 2, I'm like, yes, finally.
Finally.
But I think they finished filming right before everything hit, and they've been editing this entire time.
I believe you're correct. Like it's in the can and done.
Yeah. I know a lot of stuff got pushed back, like we were saying, with the CW stuff, and
Oh, I
I
did
think.
forget to mention, thanks to you, also
Oh, sorry.
the first 2 seasons of Titans. That was very.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I still
And
haven't finished season 2.
and working currently on Harley Quinn, and of course I'm basically caught up to that because they do that.
That's airing now, right?
Yeah, they do the delay release, which is
Yeah.
different from the rest of the how we're used to anymore. Like we're used to being able to sit down and binge. So I binged and caught up. I'm like, well, now I got to start waiting. What is with this?
What are you watching Harley Quinn on?
DC.
Okay.
I think they also show it on Sci-Fi, if I'm not mistaken, but I think it's another week delay or.
Got it.
I think that's the only streaming site I don't have access to.
I don't have it yet, but it sounds like I gotta get it.
I truthfully think that the HBO Go app is going to eventually end up absorbing the DC stuff because they're doing a lot of, like, Stargirl is on the DC Universe app, but it's also on CW. And then there's other stuff that's going to be on HBO Go and also going to be on the DCU app. So I think that it's going to get to the point to where the DCU app is going to end up, I don't know, maybe going more HBO, and then the rest of the stuff is going to be on the CW app because CW's also has on their app like some of the Constantine stuff, and they're going to be airing Swamp Thing, I believe, this fall, which was a DC Universe exclusive. So I don't think it's chugging along like they wanted it to originally.
Apparently, I dropped out for some reason, and I don't know where I was when I dropped out.
We're still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Okay.
It was. I'm assuming it picked up everything y'all were saying, so I don't know when I dropped it and y'all picked up. So I guess we'll just keep pushing forward.
Okay.
Take 3.58.
Yeah, pretty much.
Onward, brave heroes!
I mean, really, this is all I ever expected for this podcast was basically just having a beer, sitting down at a table, talking to your friends. So little things like this, and it's part of life. It happens. If we ever do get big enough where we can afford not to have that, then yeah, we won't have that. But for now, it doesn't matter. I'm sure somebody else will drop out.
I should trade out this water then.
Oh, trust me, I'm nursing this beer because I am sitting in a house that's probably like 80 degrees at the moment.
Mm.
I've got no AC currently. I'm waiting on the landlord to fix it.
Oh, man.
Thanks, Corona.
Yeah, no shit. All right, so...
Are you drinking Corona?
No.
Two on the nose for you, Mike.
No. I was surprised with another beer. I think somebody's trying to get me drunk this evening. All right, so we hit about 3 things and all that. So I guess the next 2 biggest things for the current events section, if you want to call it that, is E3, Animazement, Comic-Con, all the big ones have completely canceled everything. And the online presence is dealing, I guess you could say. They're doing little, each one's doing something different, depending on what pages you follow. They're doing like memories from old cons and stuff like that, but at the same time, it is having an effect on the community. I mean, especially the gaming community, because E3 is when we get all of our new info, all of our new trailers, and Xbox tried to do something about 2 weeks ago, and it fell flat on its face. Although there was some good stuff there, it fell flat. Sony's just kind of sitting there tweeting every now and then, and it's not much.
I mean, gaming, hell, look at the MCU fans. Like, we've been looking forward to Black Widow for a minute, and now it's like, well, that's going to be delayed, and we can't finish filming our shows, so this is the first year in a while that we don't have any new content.
Right.
Wonder Woman got pushed back too, I think.
Yeah, it did. Now, speaking of both of those, I'm pretty sure y'all noticed that certain movies and certain studios were deciding to put stuff out digitally instead of putting it in the theater.
Yeah.
Now, I actually have seen 2 movies so far, and it's on. They come out on most platforms. They're $20, and you rent it for a day. I'd rather do that than honestly pack up everybody and go spend $60 at the movie theater just to get in.
That's without including snacks and beverages.
Right.
I'm with you on that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I've always want to go to a theater, and it feels more like really supporting the product than renting it digitally. But in this day and age, when they're including streaming in your ratings numbers and all that, it would have been easy to translate, okay, well, we had this amount of people actually pay the $20 in this week for this movie that would have been in theaters, they probably did better that way than actually trying to fight against, like, we'll take, for example, Scoob, which I
Well,
haven't gotten yet, but
you should just address the elephant-sized troll or troll-sized elephant in the room. Trolls World Tour has upset the entire market. Not only has it broke record for the first day digital streaming release, it actually probably turned a bigger profit go ahead and releasing during COVID pandemic, but doing it digitally than it would have if it was just had delayed itself like a lot of the other major movies are doing.
yeah. Now, I mean, I rented it, I think, the first weekend that it came out. I had planned on going to the theater just because my son really liked the first one. And really, the only thing that got me on the first one was some of their versions of certain songs. So I'm like, okay, make him happy. I'll take him to the theater. This will be our thing. And then, we were all in lockdown, and they announced, okay, well, we're going to do it digitally. I was like, okay, $20. It's got these voices in it, and I really like them, and it's centered around rock. So, okay, yeah, $20. Here you go. Spend the $20. I was actually impressed with it. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it wasn't bad. But for $20 for a movie that should have been in theaters, I say I got my money's worth.
On that note, this isn't as much nerd related, but a favorite comedian of at least I know mine and Mike's, Christopher Titus. He is doing basically now at home, in-home soundstage studio because concert venues are closed and because comedy halls and comedy clubs and bars are closed. He's now done two, one of his own and one of his friends. You pay $10 and you watch it just like you would a comedy show. It is live. They're recording it. They've mic'd the audience. They've got like 7 people in the audience, all 6 feet apart. They fumigate everything coming in, and they're upgrading as they go. But it's like, hey, we want to continue supporting our friends and comedians, and things aren't going back to normal anytime soon. So we're going to try this. You pay $10. You can in with your whole house quarantine crew. The more people who go for it, the more people they're trying to get in, not just comedians, but like musical acts too. And it's like his way of trying to keep live entertainment going to some degree.
Yeah. And I know some artists have been doing live concerts, basically through Zoom or whatever. I think Green Day did one.
Hellstorm did a virtual concert that you can find online.
A bunch of them have done it, and this has basically changed a good bit of how we do business now. A lot of people have been working from home, and that's starting to sink in with some businesses as, okay, well, this can be cheaper. We can do more for less if we do it from home.
A lot of Broadway's doing that too. Like I know Susan Egan's doing the Princesses class or something, or Princess Academy, and they have the different ladies that played Belle, Megara, I think it was Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and they're actually taking questions through, it's a Zoom-like platform. And
that's cool.
So it's young girls getting to ask them questions and figuring out like how to deal with certain things, and it's giving Broadway actresses an opportunity to still get paid and still do the stuff that they love.
That is very awesome.
Yeah. Well, I know I shared it in group a couple of days ago, and I actually watched it before I shared it. Was the cast of Community did a Zoom presentation of one of the episodes from the show. It was a live table read, and they were all on, in a Zoom conference, reading through the script, and it was just as funny as watching the actual show, if not more so, because of the one casting change they made that was freaking hilarious. He actually stumbled so bad he couldn't read the line. It took him 6 tries to get it out. It was hilarious.
Well,
I'm
and
not going
not
to spoil
only
it, but
Disney didn't do it with Black Widow, but instead of the release of the recording of Hamilton that was going to hit theaters, now it's hitting Disney Plus.
Yep.
right. Now they did discuss doing that with Black Widow, doing the whole digital release thing. They also announced that they were going to do it with Wonder Woman, and then a week later deciding, no, we're going to wait.
Okay.
So people are still up in the air trying to decide, and a lot of it, the way it's being presented, at least to us normal people, when you read the headlines and kind of read the articles, it's looking like, okay, yeah, so-and-so's ego got in the way there.
Oh.
Yeah, that they're going after money there. Okay, we'll just wait. As far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, all the actual Disney Plus shows are still on track, right? For the fall and winter?
Like the MCU stuff? Yeah, they're on track. They've just been delayed. They have released their revised schedule. Like they are trying to get back to normal as like, okay, instead of this being released this month, this year, we're pushing everything back, and we're hoping that we can accommodate this new schedule.
Right, and I think the only two that would really affect would be Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision, but most of that was already filmed, was it not?
They were still filming. At least I know Falcon and Winter Soldier, but of course,
Okay.
in the MCU, the way they always have their dominoes in a fucking row, excuse the language. They unplug one thing because it's got delayed. Well, that pushes everything back because everything leads into the other.
Right. Okay, I get that, and I think we just saw our first. I don't want to say it that way, but for lack of a better term, and if I offend anybody, I do apologize. But entertainment COVID casualty was Batwoman.
Oh,
Ruby
yeah.
Rose leaving.
Ironically, largely unrelated. Like it seems like they ended the season early because of COVID, and now all of a sudden they're recasting when they come back to filming, which is unheard of in the Arrowverse.
Yeah. They don't like to recast, and if you want backup on that, watch any season of fucking Arrow.
Yep.
They bring the same freaking character back how many times? 4 or 5?
20.
3.78.
Damn close to it. But no, I think that's the first thing, and it really threw everybody off because now everyone's going, what's going on? Because they had just announced that the crossover this coming season, or the crossovers this coming season, was going to be a couple mini crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was going to be Batwoman and Superman and Lois.
Yes. And
yeah.
Basically, I'm pretty sure I saw now, because of COVID, we're not even going to get a crossover this year. We may get one beginning of next.
Which is really going to be interesting because if anything, the guy that's heading CW DC at the moment, and God forgive me, I can't remember his name, but
Greg
he is
Berlanti or something like that.
Yeah, he's almost akin to Marvel, where he will play the long game. I mean, how long did they hint that we were getting Crisis before we finally got it?
About 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, they played the long game and then paid off beautifully, and now everyone's going. It's kind of like Endgame, where everyone's like, oh, well, where do we go from here? We don't know what's going on, and we've got to wait for the new movies or the shows to come out before we can see what they're planning on doing, or at least get an idea. And then I guess it's time to talk about the DC elephant in the room. Because we don't judge, we're not hateful people, we will discuss the Snyder Cut, oh, that burns, of Justice League, that apparently was just officially confirmed not 2 weeks ago and is now bought by HBO Max as an exclusive and needs $3 billion to finish.
All right. So I've got
that.
I've got the pros and cons of that.
Okay.
So the Snyder Cut in all its mythic glory, I say sarcastically, for one, will never live up to the hype, sadly. Like, let's be honest. Like, this was sought after like a holy grail, and we're going to find out it's just an old dingy cup. Now, it's not too dissimilar from anything that we've seen in the past. Like, this is really old hat. Like, it's not a thing that they do as much anymore, but late 90s, early aughts, we were still often seeing the director's cut of movies. Like, a movie's been out for a while, it'll come out on home release, an anniversary about 3 years later, something like that. They have a special edition, the director's cut, the extended edition of Lord of the Rings that they've re-released 8 different times. George Lucas is famous for that. The biggest difference is at the time he was doing it, Snyder couldn't finish his director's cut.
Now, to pause you right there, I'm going to state that us right here, are representing a wide group of nerds. Okay, we like DC just as much as we like Marvel. Whether we prefer one or the other, it doesn't matter. We want to see them do well, and we want to see them compete in the movies with Marvel because the fans win.
Right.
We don't want them to fail, so any trash that we talk about this, because I know I'm going to say some stuff that's going to piss people off, I'm not hating on DC, and I'm not hating on the characters. Like,
Rose, you actually really enjoyed BVS yourself, didn't you? Like, you just recently saw it, correct?
Well, I'm probably the only person other than my husband that actually really enjoys the entire DCEU. Superman Returns, Man of Steel, was to me, but Batman vs. Superman, I freaking loved it. Batman, to me, I was even standing in the line getting ready to buy the movie, and I made this little kid in front of me so mad, but, it is what it is. Because he was like, the little kid was like, oh, Superman's going to win, Superman's going to win. I'm like, no, he's not, dude. This is Batman. He's just Batman. I'm like, yeah, he is Batman. He will win. I'm like, dude, kid, all he needs is time and money. And what does he have a lot of? He's already got a lot of money. So all he needs is a lot of time. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't see that little kid when we were leaving out of the theater, but I was laughing the whole time. But Wonder Woman nailed it. Wonder Woman was like, the best movie, superhero movie that I could, not even just female-led superhero movie, just, that's right up there with the Batman trilogy, in my opinion, the Nolan Batman. So, Aquaman, Oh yeah, Aquaman was very good, but
I
Are we
enjoyed
talking about the
Aquaman.
movie, or are you watching him?
huh?
Are we talking
Yes.
about the movie, or
You
are you
go to
watching
a
him?
movie, you go to the movie, and you watch the movie. And I didn't pick who was in the movie. I enjoyed
I'm
who
sure
was
you
in
weren't
the movie.
complaining.
I was not, and I'm still not complaining. But anyway, so Justice League, I mean, compared to the rest of them, it was kind of weak and kind of, thrown together haphazardly, just like, here's just throw darts at the wall and see what sticks. I understand it was rushed. It was too rushed, but again, I still enjoyed it. I think they probably should have taken their time, get all of the introductory movies out first, then kind of gradually bring them together. But as far as waiting this long to rehash the same movie, to me, that's just a cash grab. I'm not saying that I'm not going to buy it, because of course I'm going to buy it. I'm just saying they shouldn't have waited this long. Here we are looking at the second Wonder Woman movie getting ready to come out. The Flash is getting ready to come out, if that hasn't gotten...
Flash has been canceled.
Oh, of course it has, because I
Has it
actually
been
enjoyed
canceled,
that
or
Flash.
has it been COVID delayed?
No. And sorry to interrupt. Flash is pretty much, no pun intended, on its last leg. People are expecting an official cancellation announcement shortly.
You cannot use that analogy and say no pun intended.
Well, I didn't mean to, but yeah, we'll go with that. No, they went through. This is the third director, I believe, and he said, yes, we're going to use Flashpoint, which is one of my favorite Flash stories. And they said, as a template, it's not going to be Flashpoint, but it's called Flashpoint, and they're using it as a template. So right there, to me, is point against. And then they're still using Ezra Miller, which I think is one of the worst casting choices, other than Halle Berry and Catwoman.
Halle Berry never played Catwoman.
Fair enough.
I know the movie exists, but no, that wasn't Catwoman.
I don't know the details, so I'm just kind of going from headlines that I've read. Apparently, Ezra did something stupid to someone physically, and now the fans have been very vocal about removing him, and he's basically said, "Yeah, I don't want to do this anymore if that's how it's going to be." And by all means, if I'm proven wrong anywhere by a credible source, please, by all means, show me. I have no problem learning and apologizing. But from what I've seen, that was the case. I know
If our listeners are
Aquaman.
still with us this long in.
Yeah, I know Aquaman 2 has been put on hold. They keep wanting to put out Black Adam, but they're not gaining any traction with it, which is odd.
It's a shame, because Shazam was actually really good.
Oh, Shazam was fantastic. Now, I'll talk shit about BVS and Justice League, but Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Shazam were fucking fantastic movies. I have no complaints about them. Though I have noticed the trend that each movie follows the animated counterpart, but I'm not really complaining.
Yeah, I still really like the idea of Margot Robbie being Harley Quinn. Yeah. I mean, I'm still one of the few people. I'm still one of the few people that still like Suicide Squad. I mean, so sue me. I don't care. You know.
I loved Suicide Squad. I saw Birds
and Will
of Prey.
Smith just carried that movie.
Yeah, Suicide Squad did do good with them, but they were like the only good things in that movie.
Yeah. Now they do have what's his name from the Thor movies? No, not the Thor movies. Guardians of the Galaxy. The
James
director.
Gunn doing Suicide Squad too.
Yes, he's doing Suicide Squad too. I'm interested to see his take. I did enjoy the first one. Now I watched Birds of Prey, and
Serviceable.
if I had spent money on that, I would probably just take my wallet outside and burn it.
I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't good. Like it was a movie. That's about the best compliment I could give it.
It was seen moving on a screen that had a fun character, but that was about it. Like any of the other characters that were supposed to be there and big characters just kind of stuck their heads in and went, "Hi, we're so and so," and stepped right to the side of Harley Quinn. And they didn't even try to give them their own screen time. It was just bleh.
To me, it was almost like an extra long pilot on the CW.
Yeah, I could get with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have not yet had the time or
But by all means, give it a
platform
watch.
to watch it yet. Yeah.
Rent it, don't buy it.
Yes, by all means, rent it, don't buy it.
I'll rent it first probably and then go buy it. Yeah. I'm just I can't get behind I'm still one of those old school people that have like 500 DVDs and Blu-rays in my house. So.
Oh yeah.
That's actually one of the things that I also did during my quarantine is
Yeah.
Now, back to the Snyder Cut. And I know you just did a whole bunch of research on this before we started recording. But my point about this thing is, I went and saw it in the theaters. They got my money. I didn't walk away hating it. It really wasn't that bad. And then about a month later, when the numbers started rolling in and the fan base was not going to the theater to see the movie, then you had the fanboys on social media start blaming Joss Whedon. And they started blaming anything else and saying that there must be a quote-unquote Snyder Cut that has to be better than what we saw in the theater. Now, to walk you through just a little bit, during the editing process of this, Whedon was involved in the project as a consultant because Snyder was not stupid enough to think that he could do this all by himself, and Whedon, who has a glorious track record of ensembles and teams working well on screen, he contacted him. He was already part of the project to some degree. And then Snyder's family had that tragedy, so he passed it on to Whedon personally. And if you are one of those people that want to blame Whedon, but not think for a second that Snyder didn't check up on him, or Whedon didn't, ask for clarification on anything during that whole time, then you're just flat out retarded. There had to have been some sort of communication. Yeah, what we got was probably more towards Whedon's vision, but Snyder had to watch it first and approve it
I actually
And that's what we
don't
got in the
think
theater.
at the time, he removed himself so far from the
Okay.
because of what he was going through.
Right.
The Snyder, as it exists by somebody involved in the studio, this has been reported that you can actually.
Mm-hmm.
Snyder built but it's the frame, the drive the chassis, and that's it.
He meant to say
Like
chassis.
the rest of the car wasn't there. And
Gotcha.
when you watch Justice League, if you're familiar with Whedon and Snyder, you can kind of see conflicting visions a little bit. Like you can almost pick out the two different voices in that, for better or for worse. Like,
yeah,
some people like Snyder, some people like Whedon, some people like neither, some people like both. You can kind of, it's like if you took two different ice cream flavors and just mix them in a bowl instead of a blender. Like, it's like, oh, this was this was that. So
right.
he had to take over directing, and he did actually. Most of it was already done production-wise, but Whedon handled the lion's share in post-production. That's why it's going to
Right.
cost so much money to restore the quote-unquote Snyder Cut, is because all of it's going to be done in post-production. Like, they're not doing any reshoots at all. They may get the cast back together for ADR, recording voices,
Voiceovers,
but nothing
stuff like that.
on scene. Like, they're not going to refilm anything.
Right.
So
Now,
everything that's going to restore the Justice League for good or for bad to Snyder's vision is all post-production.
right. He's using already existing film.
Right.
Now, my whole thing is we're going on what, 3 years, 4?
Right at 3.
Okay, so right at 3 years after the movie came out, and he never confirmed. He never said, "Oh, well, yeah, I've got a version, and Whedon's got a version. Whedon's version is the one that went to theaters." He never said that. He hinted that there might possibly be something else that you didn't see in theaters, which, when you think about it, there always is.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like,
right, you always see a
is
director's cut or whatever.
right. The extended edition, the
Yeah,
special edition, the whatever you want to call it.
but very rarely do those make any difference than what you saw in the theater. Now, I just recently saw the director's cut. Right. I just recently saw the director's cuts of Wrath of Khan and 6, Undiscovered Country. I noticed some differences, but it didn't change anything. It was just, oh, they had a bigger discussion here. Oh, there was more dialogue there. Okay, cool. And I mean, I even sat through the big, almost 4-hour-long director's cut of Blade Runner.
Oh, Lord.
And and it still didn't change anything. It was just cool. It was just world building. And that's cool to see, after you're already a fan of something. But if you're putting something out and you never really confirm that it exists, and then you go, oh, well, yeah, it exists. It's right here next to me, but I need $3 billion to finish it. So that's not really existing, and it's not really done. So I firmly believe that $3 billion is going to go to trying to change stuff that already exists to try and make a better movie and save his career when it's already in the trash.
deep cut. And Nadine, I'm counting on you. You may know this one.
Oh boy, we'll try.
Possibly. I think the rest of our audience may even be lost too. Does anybody remember the old Highlander franchise of movies?
Yes, absolutely yes.
Famously,
I know they existed, but I never watched.
Oh, I watched
Famously-
all of them.
All I know is there can be only one.
Close enough.
That's about where I'm at.
Highlander 2, the director's cut that came out years later from even the home release, and this is back in like the Laserdisc days, maybe even further back,
Oh,
famously changed fundamentally the entire movie almost.
Yeah.
really?
That is about the only precedent we have for something like this.
So there actually is precedent that this could possibly make it a better movie.
Well, there's the thing. I never said it made it a better movie.
It was not a better movie, but it did change the whole storyline.
I was
Well,
very
going
careful
back
with
to,
my words, and you hear Nadine how she even, yes, it
Yeah.
changed the movie. It didn't necessarily improve the movie.
I get
Well,
it. Okay. Yeah, fair.
Yeah. Well, going back to Batman v Superman, if you watched the movie in the theater and then went and bought the extended director's cut and watched the extended director's cut, there are so many questions that were answered in the extended director's cut that were not touched on in the movie. For example, you see how deep and how knowledgeable and how vicious Lex Luthor is in the director's cut versus in the movie theater. He just looks like the luckiest idiot in the world. But in the director's cut, it actually shows that he knows who Batman is. And he knows
really?
who Superman is. And the whole thing with the Capitol blowing up, he orchestrated that entire thing. He orchestrated. The poor guy who was in the wheelchair, that had the bomb in it, you think he's the terrorist, but it's actually Lex Luthor behind the scenes, and creating the persona of the poor man in the wheelchair. He takes the poor man's his unemployment benefits that Wayne gives him, all these benefits that Wayne is giving to him, and he's not getting it because Lex Luthor is right there in between. And I mean, it is just so, I'm like, why didn't they leave this in the movie? Because I'm just sitting here like, I don't remember this. Oh my God. It's just like, why didn't they leave this in the movie? Because it took away Lex Luthor's teeth. Because, like I said, it just looks like he's just a lucky idiot who's just there eating candy and smiling. And, yeah, no. I mean, it just, I'm still baffled that they left that out. But as I said, watching the director's cut, that scene alone, because when the Capitol blows up, I think it's before the Capitol blows up, Lois Lane actually goes to the man's apartment, and there, he has this setup, Luthor built the setup that makes him look like a terrorist. But she opens the refrigerator and she's like, he just bought groceries. He has all this fresh food. He has plans for tomorrow. So why is he going to go kill himself? And then that's when everything falls into place for her, and it's actually revealed that Lex Luthor orchestrated the whole thing and to blame Superman, because his wheelchair is lead lined. So, Superman obviously can't see through lead. It's like I said, it just baffles me, the stuff that they took out. I'm like, you could have took out anything else. Why did you take that out? I mean, that would be, the number one thing.
But see, that almost makes me want to go find the director's cut and watch it, because me and a couple friends took our kids to see BVS. Now, I walked out of the theater going, okay, well, these individual moving scenes were great to see in a live action movie, but overall, the story was crap, and they tried to do too much. That was my whole takeaway from it.
I mean, and
But
I don't have it like dead in front of me, but the director's cut is maybe 3 hours long, 2.5 to 3 hours long, maybe 3.5 hours long.
I mean, I would rather
I
sit
would
there and
sit
watch
there.
a 3-hour movie if it's good.
Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, there's
But
other crap
we
they
sat
could
there
have,
through
taken
Endgame.
out. Yeah. I mean, but like I said, I'm sitting here and I'm like, he's talking about, he drops a few hints about Batman, and then he drops a few hints about Bruce Wayne, and I'm like, huh, I don't remember this part. And then, of course, when Superman is in the beginning and the Gotham is exploding, and falling all around him, it's actually Lex Luthor who is guiding Batman's thought process into Superman being evil. When the Capitol blew up, I think Batman blamed Superman for it, not knowing the whole truth. And
Right.
that's how Lois Lane comes in and says, stop, it's all a setup. You know how she comes in and breaks up the, oh, that's his mom's thing, and that's still so. Yeah, anyway, but that's the whole reason she's there. That's the whole reason she got there, to stop him, because she
Gotcha.
knows that Batman thinks Superman blew up the Capitol, when in reality it was Lex Luthor the whole time.
I might see if I can find it and see for myself the differences. Because I mean, we jokingly call it orphan fight because of that one line, but I mean, it was just, to me, like you were saying, it seemed so sporadic, and they had all these characters that just kind of pop their heads in and go, huh, hey, how you doing, and then walk off, and they were supposed to be these huge characters, and they didn't do anything with them, so it's like, what the hell? And then in Justice League, like Brad was saying, it was like, it was all cut up. It didn't feel natural. And God forbid that freaking CGI mustache threw
Oh,
a lot of
God.
things off. But I mean, overall, I mean, it followed Justice League War, the animated movie, almost to a T.
Oh, do not disgrace war like that.
The basic storyline is, I mean, the only difference is they didn't have Lantern, which they should have had. Those bastards. But yeah, I mean, watch Justice League War, and then watch Justice League. Pretty much the same thing. And my biggest, biggest complaint is Batman would never have apologized. I don't care who the fuck you are.
Batman also doesn't tell jokes.
That too.
He
He
also doesn't
accidentally
laugh.
says funny things, but he never tells a joke. But I mean, having discussed that, I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. We're just kind of watching the, for lack of a better term, the drive-bys on social media. You know, just any time Snyder breathes, it's, oh, the Snyder cut. So just kind of bear with it long enough to figure out what's going on. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't. We don't know. I'm not going to condemn it until it's out and we can see it. But,
So, again, I go back to my original statement. I think it's overhyped, and it will never live up to the hype. But
yeah,
being not only a comic book fan, but also a fan of movies and especially director's cuts, I'm interested in seeing it. Am I going to sign up for
Yeah.
HBO for it? Probably not. Would I buy it if it came out on DVD? Probably. I'm going to be honest.
so HBO has actually dropped some serious money in the past 3 months. They now hold the exclusive rights to
Doctor Who, Fraggle Rock.
Doctor Who, Fraggle Rock, which they've had for a while now. Rick and
South
Morty,
Park.
South Park. They're getting into some DC stuff.
Friends.
Friends. So I mean, they've picked up on a lot of things that you wouldn't expect. So that it might be worth at least a month or so of a purchase, depending on what all you get with it. I honestly haven't looked into it. I've just seen some of the headlines. So we'll see what happens from there. But I mean, just the banter from the four of us about these two specific movies kind of leads into the big topic of the evening, which we have a couple of disclaimers. As the comics that we reference, these things kind of teach us real life lessons, and we hope that you take them into your life and learn from them. And Brad has the other half of that disclaimer.
So if anything that we say happens to piss anybody off, just know it's our own individual opinions and experiences and takes on things. Take it what you will. Don't be offended for offensive sake. It's just, if somebody says something that's their opinion, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. If you disagree, you're welcome to. That's what makes this country and discussions like this healthy and good. Like, if somebody says something fundamentally wrong, be sure to correct with some decorum and some class. Like, the whole thing that we're talking about is to keep discussions civil and open for a reason. So if you're upset, correct us, but do so in a manner that doesn't make you even worse than what we may or may not have said.
Right. And with that, we're going to discuss some toxicity, being toxic in your fandom. Now, I know tempers have been very, very thin for at least the past month. And to be honest, people can be toxic without even realizing it. I mean, you love something so much a certain way, as soon as somebody even seems like they're coming after that, you want to defend it, which is perfectly fine. But remember, nerds were always the ones off to the side. There wasn't, when we were growing up, there was no internet. We couldn't just get on Facebook and find a nerd page and have people to talk to. You had to find physical people in the world and talk to those people. It sucked. But like a couple days ago, with somebody in the group, I actually had to take a step back because I saw it getting toxic. Somebody was trying to get an interactive post going about anime. It was, what anime would you defend with your life, or something to that effect. And somebody had mentioned Full Metal Alchemist. Now, I like Full Metal Alchemist. I like the original Full Metal Alchemist. I don't like Brotherhood. I tried to watch it, didn't like it. I leave it alone. But somebody came in and was trying to, they may not have intended to come off as elitist, but it came off that way. And it's like, really? I mean, I just don't like it. I mean, we can sit here and pick back and forth in fun and play, but anything past that is just plain hateful, and that's not something we want to promote. And I've seen it with other anime as well, where we talk about anime in general, and you have people that come up and say, well, I was digging for secret tapes in a bargain bin at flea markets and had to watch it with subpar subtitles, so I am the truest anime watcher. And anybody that watched it on Toonami is just worthless. No. No. We don't do that here, and it's just not true. Uh, when we were growing up, I'm pretty sure the only access we had to anime itself was if we were lucky enough to find a manga at a bookstore, if we were lucky enough to have a friend from overseas that had some, until Sci-Fi Channel started running some and Toonami hit. And that was before the internet really got big. And you really couldn't download episodes of anything on the internet back then.
That's true.
I mean,
Yep.
you just gotta watch how you come at things and how you defend things, because there's no reason for any kind of hate about anything. I mean, I know Brad's run into some stuff about Doctor Who as he sits there in silence.
I missed the first part of what you said, so I was trying to process that.
I was saying you've run into similar stuff with Doctor Who.
Well, I have, and more than anything, what you run into. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the meme from Simpsons where it has the Willie the groundskeeper.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, brothers and sisters are natural enemies, but then the meme changes it to Star Wars fans and Star Wars fans.
I love that one. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Like, Star Wars, let's be honest, can be one of the most dangerous minefields to navigate.
It really can, especially in the past almost 10 years now.
Like, I actually enjoyed what was not the newest one, the one before.
Eight,
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
I actually enjoyed 8, but let me say that in a public forum. And,
Yeah.
like, I am playing. Or
I mean,
let you say that you hate Captain Marvel. Again,
oh yeah.
you get played.
And we
If you
commented
hate-
about this today, right, Mike? On
Yeah,
I think it was Caleb's
talking about
post.
certain things. Yeah.
And one of the things that I stepped back and tried to make a comment to kind of soften the blow for some people is that
Yeah.
some of these things aren't really directed to the long time ago fans or the person that coming in new. Is you can't be harsh towards them for liking something that caught their attention. Even if we don't like it at all. Yeah, we have our opinion and that's fine. But it doesn't mean that we discount this person liking it and telling them, well, you're trash too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we are not always the target market. It's not how business works, and we are trying to grow the fandom. But what we don't like is when they change things, like we were saying earlier, that if it makes the story better, all for it. But commit to it completely, not make a slap-on diversity and change it partially, but kind of be apologetic about it.
Right. Make it make sense. Make it good. Make the story good, and don't make it look like you just shoehorned something in.
Oh, hi, Tommy.
Now, like Brad was saying with Star Wars, 8 and 9 I hated. I'm still a big fan of the series. I love Star Wars with all my heart. I hated 8 and 9. They felt like slaps in the face to the fandom. It, I could talk shit for days, but I only talk shit about it really with people I know, because I can't just go, well, this was this and this was this, because then I'll get attacked. Like with the Doctor Who thing, I hated Eccleston and Rose. I really do. I don't like them. I actually got more into the story than the characters, and then Tennant showed up when I got into it, and I'm like, yep, that's it. To me, Tennant is always the Doctor. But so, I know, Brad, you like Matt, isn't it?
No, I liked Eccleston.
Okay.
And no offense to our Rose, but I'm with you on that. I didn't like Rose. Like,
I didn't like Rose
more
either.
with Tennant, but I feel like Rose is an overrated companion.
Yep.
Agreed. But you could go into a forum and go, well, I didn't really care for Rose, and be attacked within 30 minutes and have like 100 replies to your post calling you the worst thing since Satan because you do not like Rose. And so, with something that big and that meaningful, why do you have to hate? I mean, one of the biggest things about Doctor Who is not perpetuating hate. But yet you want to sit there and hate on somebody because they didn't like this character or they didn't like that version. For whatever reason.
Rose in Star Wars also got a lot of hate to the point that the actress was bullied. And, like, I can understand not liking a character. Nobody liked Jar Jar Binks. But when you're bullying both the character who played Jar Jar Binks and the character of Rose to the point of where the actors are going into depression, they just showed up for a paycheck and did their job. Like, don't bully people who they loved being part of this franchise for the most part, and now it's like
they didn't write the lines.
Yeah, and now it's PTSD from them, from the fans.
Yeah, like I felt horrible. Go ahead.
I think I know this is back from early 2000s when episode 1 came.
Oh God, yeah.
The actor who played Anakin.
That poor kid.
He had played in he had played in so many other movies. He killed the Sixth, crying out loud, and they bullied him so badly about this movie. He gave up acting, and to bully and he was a child, 10 years old, and you're gonna come at a child like that? I mean, that's too much. I mean, it's one thing to attack a 30-year-old somebody, somebody like, I don't know, attack Brad Pitt. I mean, just throwing his name out there. But to attack a little kid who is just, starting out.
And who probably was really excited about taking that role and being part of the franchise. I mean.
Yeah, and my significant other just said, and the little girl who played Tony Stark's daughter has gotten so much flack. And she's, 4 years old, 5 years old? I mean, that's too much.
8 or 9, actually, I think.
I mean, still a little kid. Think
when you
about
got Tom Holland getting pissed off at you for saying something stupid, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
We should all live our life for Tom Holland's approval, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that sarcastically. I mean, he's just a joy to be around from anything I've ever seen him in.
I mean, he's 22, 23, and I would lose my shit if I actually bumped into him on the street. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's one thing to hate a character. I mean, I can tell you I hate Ash Ketchum all day long because he looks stupid and he always has the same stupid Pokemon and he don't know what the heck he's doing. But I'm not going to hate the voice actor because I hate Ash Ketchum. It's not their fault that they're playing a sucky character. They're, just getting paid.
If we
Mhm.
ever
Yeah,
do snippets of episodes, Mike, that is going to need to go in our description.
Oh, well, the same stupid Pokemon.
yeah. I mean, really.
I saw a
No,
meme.
I'm with you. I
I
mean,
saw a
and
meme.
if you hit,
Oh, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, that I was going to say that in regards to the behavior, once you were guys going on about Tom Holland,
Mhm.
I saw a meme that actually applies to our group. It's like basically, if Steve or Fred Rogers wouldn't do it, neither would I. It's stupid, it's
Yeah,
simplistic, and it's geeky, but it works.
I just saved that to my phone.
Me too.
Nice. So we should see that here shortly.
Dad,
I've
you have the honors.
got to go ahead and post it now.
But yeah, I mean, you can hate a character all you want. It's not the actor's fault. If you really want to go after anybody, writers and directors, I'm
And
sorry.
producers.
I hate to throw them under the bus like that, but to be honest, it's their fault.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But even
I mean,
Some
still,
writers just
that
need a
being said,
good smack in the back of the head sometimes.
well, to me, Abrams started strong with 7. He fucked up by letting somebody else do 8, and then he tried to make it up in 9, and he just missed the mark. I mean, unfortunately, I like J.J. Abrams, but that's a loss, and it happens. I mean, I'm not gonna hate the guy just because he messed up once. I mean, as we've seen, they can pull out more Star Wars related content in a heartbeat. I mean, we got Rogue One and Solo out of the deal,
And those were
and then
amazing.
oh
Mandalorian.
yeah, that now I had to
Oh,
watch Solo a second time to appreciate it, but I do appreciate it.
Mhm.
We got another whole season done because of fans for Clone Wars, which I need to
Yeah.
finish. The Mandalorian, which is fan fucking tastic, but at the same time, that's also done by Jon Favreau, who has been one of the driving factors in the MCU for the past 10 years. So we can see how that all translates.
I want to see how they do the Obi-Wan series.
That's on hold. I think everything is on hold right now.
Because
Not
I
just
want
because of COVID, but I think because I want to say that the Obi-Wan series was gonna start filming, and then they had to stop for some reason. I can't remember why, but it's on hold for some reason.
no.
Because I think the last big thing they announced about it was they had what's his name coming back to reprise his role.
Ewan?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That stuck with me. But yeah, the whole point, and we've given you some examples. I'm sure we can find some more here in a second, but the whole point is there's no need for the hate. There's no need to be ugly. State your opinion. It's probably valid, more so than anybody would think, but it's your opinion. There's no reason to hate on anybody who disagrees with you. There's no reason to hate the people that just play the character. There's a lot of people involved in whatever it is that you like or don't like. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Just because somebody got into anime because of Digimon, I'm not going to hate them because I got into it with Dragon Ball Z. Not that there's no point.
just because you
Now,
like anime, I'm not going to hate on you.
right?
Be more like
Now, I
Uncle
will.
Iroh.
Yeah, really. And so far, Avatar seems to be one of the common ground things out there. Whether you're a fan of anime or just cartoons or anything, you've seen Avatar and you know what's going on there, which is kind of cool, actually.
Ironically, though, Legend of Korra got its own hate.
Recently, too, wasn't it?
It's re-swelled recently, but like, here's the thing: you can dislike something. Like, we spent a good 20 minutes talking shit, poking fun at the DC verse, Snyder, BVS, Batman, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between not liking and even picking, joking, whatever, and then just being hateful. Like, you know, one of Ezra Miller. You didn't like him as Flash, but you never would wish him harm.
No. Actually,
And
I
that,
would prefer to see him cast as Wally West, but just because I don't think he played a good Barry Allen. He played more of a Wally West version of Kid Flash than Barry Allen and Flash, but that's just my opinion. But I don't wish any harm against the guy. I don't hate him.
You cannot like Episode 9 of Star Wars. I actually liked it, but you cannot like it, but you need to, and I don't, nobody here, as ever, people need to stop shy of, oh, this sucks. The writers and the producers and the directors need to all die in a fiery plane.
Oh, God, no.
No.
But that's stuff that you will actually see, and that is when fandoms become toxic. When you riot in a
Right.
McDonald's because they don't have the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce.
Yeah. I knew that one was coming up at some point. I mean, every
Szechuan sauce is
fandom has
overrated.
it was. I mean, it was good. Don't get me wrong, but it was overrated. The only reason it got popular again was because everybody was all into Rick and Morty at the time. And I mean, even McDonald's played into it. They were like, "Oh, here's some Szechuan sauce. We made it fresh for you," as a joke to the creator, trying to, just have some fun. And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll bring it back for a couple weeks," and they ran out in like 24 hours,
Oh, my gosh.
if I remember correctly. And people were literally trying to beat down the doors, going, "Where's our sauce?"
Yeah, they were trying to sell it on eBay, I think.
Yeah, people were gathering it up and selling it on eBay. I mean,
Oh, it's like the toilet paper.
Yeah.
It was worse than toilet paper.
Yeah, you went full circle.
I mean, you just can't. Those people, I would even go as far as not only should you not be like those people, but if you do see somebody being toxic in a fandom, politely, not be a dick or nasty, but politely go, "Hey, that's a little too far. Like, I get your position and everything, and yeah, we may differ, but that's a little too far, and that does nobody any favors."
And if you see it in our group, just remember to reach out to the admins and the mods, and we'd be happy to help you guys out. Because reporting it to Facebook doesn't actually fix anything. It just flags us to be shut down. So that's why we include that in the rules, that if you see anything, any behavior that needs correcting or an interaction that's going in the wrong direction, we're more than happy to help you guys out and make sure that everyone understands each other and understands the rules. We want to make it as safe as possible.
Very much agreed, and very well said.
Nice bringing it back again.
What's that?
Nice
Bring it back in.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, things these days have gotten so easy to be toxic with social media, and yeah, we're using social media as something good, or trying to at least. But you've got to be careful. You don't want to be the toxic person, and you don't want to spread the toxic stuff. But it's just so easy on social media to do anymore. You can do it without realizing it. And yeah, we give each other crap because we know we're joking.
Well, and even on that note, like I will call ourselves out on. We've been good about it lately, but it is a easy, slippery slope to fall down on. Like
Well, isn't that
good-natured
considered shit
ribbing,
posting?
yeah, good-natured ribbing can easily and sometimes inadvertently escalate. And
Yeah,
we've had to check each other. It's like, oh, you know what? This is going a little too far. Like this is going on the borderline of being inadvertently bullying from a perspective. We don't see it that way, and we're not intending it that way. But you never know what somebody else may go through.
right.
So, like, police
And I mean,
yourself. Like, check yourself every once in a while. Try to just put yourself, like, how would you feel if somebody was saying that same thing about you? Like, every once in a while, you gotta stop and check. And we've checked ourselves, and it's like, you know what? Let's refocus a little bit on that. It's like, yeah, it's like, okay, just so you know, we didn't mean it that way, but we do still disagree with you.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm bad about this. Is I'll say something, and just because I don't really pay attention because usually I have to answer or reply quickly. I'll say something and automatically assume that I'm speaking to somebody I've known for a couple years, when in reality it's somebody that just joined the group that made a comment on a post, and about 5 minutes later I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, that probably sounded kind of shitty. Let me go back and correct and cover my butt because I didn't mean it that way. And I'll go back, and I mean, even in the group chat, I'll say things two or three times, and then still add, I'm really not meaning this in this type of tone, but for some reason it keeps looking like I am.
Well, and that's not all your fault. Being nerds, being growing up in this culture before it was popular, we developed that thick skin, sarcasm, biting wit, like that Princess Bride kind of witty. I'm just going to fire them back in good jovial fun, but it can be sometimes lost in translation for those who don't know.
Right.
It's
Now,
hard to convey
I mean,
tone when you're writing it. That it can
yeah,
be easily misconstrued because it also depends on where the reader's mind frame is at.
very
Right.
good point. Very good point. Now, another thing that kind of leads with it is, we we normalize certain characters and we normalize certain aspects of it's cool and funny to be the smartass. Yeah,
Everybody
to a
in this group
to a
probably
certain point it
identifies with
is.
Chandler.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's all written. It's all dialogue that was written that has a certain response that's going with it. I mean, you could sit there and try and be like the comedian from The Watchmen all day long, but if nobody knows what you're doing, you're just going to come across as one of the biggest fucking assholes ever, and people are going to hate you. And you can't sit there and go, well, this is who I am, deal with it. No. Part of socializing is give and take. You can be a certain amount of a dick to a point, but you can't always be a dick.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And I mean, we normalize all that, and everybody wants to be that asshole. Everybody wants to be Vegeta, or everybody wants to be the smooth shit talker. Not everybody can pull that off. And not everybody can do it all the time. So just chill. If you say something and you think, well, maybe that was a little far, it wouldn't hurt to go, hey, I really didn't mean that in the tone that kind of came off in my mind. That's not going to hurt anybody, and it'll probably save somebody a little bit of stress from going, oh, shit, now I've got to cuss this guy out.
And who knows, you might open up a conversation that you guys will enjoy afterwards.
Exactly. Well, unless anybody else has anything to really contribute there, I think that about covers it.
Yeah, I think we pretty much hit everything that we were wanting to.
I think so too.
Be the next episode, as soon as I get the fire under my butt to actually post it. We'll get it up as soon as possible and share it to the group so everybody else can enjoy it, and we'll call it an evening. Y'all be good to each other and have fun on the page.